have to say, I'm very offended by this film because I was raised to believe that one movie should not have this many good actors in it. Hey, I got a laugh out. We're funny. Yay! Alright, show's over. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is the start of our quest for the best, our look back at all the films that people called the best movies of the year that we did not get a chance to watch during the year, all to be able to make a better best of the year list in a few weeks. That's a far more complex description of what this actually is. Yeah, there you go. Before we actually begin, let me just go ahead and start by saying, for anybody who missed the announcement, we do now have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/ProfessorAuthority. There will be a link to it in the description down below. Every single month, we're going to do a special video just for the patrons that is on whatever you guys want. I'm still new to talking about Patreon, so I'm going to stumble over that every single time that I talk about it. Anywho, yeah, the movie that we're talking about is Love, Simon, and this is probably the movie that I got requested to watch the most. But it was one of those movies that, like, the week it came out, like, I just had no time to watch anything else. I think it came out, like, in February. Like, it came out around Black Panther. And I remember that week, like, was just crazy busy. I was like, I can only squeeze in one film. And guess which one's going to be the bigger release? But I had really been wanting to watch this. And I'm glad that we finally did get the opportunity to check it out. Because I'll just go ahead and let you guys know right here at the top. I freaking love this film. I think that this movie is great. I know you didn't like it as much as me, but you still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it.
Okay, and we'll get into, like, the little nitpicks that you said that you had as we go along. But basically what this film is about is, it's about this boy, Simon, who he's growing up with this loving family, a small group of dedicated friends, and he realized about 4 years ago that he's gay. He's in his senior year of high school, and he kind of has this thought that, listen, if I just hold out a few more months, then everything will be fine. Because then I can go to college, then I just be me. But, you know, if I come out now, it'll wreck the last couple months of my school. And also, like, that'll just be awkward living with my parents in that time. And in other words, he's got a lot going through his head. There's a whole bunch of factors that he's considering about this. However, there is this website that's like Secret of the Creeks. It's something like that.
Like, it's basically like Facebook for like people who like live in that little town, or like maybe a school, or
it's not even Facebook.
No,
it's like an anonymous message board where it's basically a gossip site where people can go and just like share like secrets and such about other people that live in that small neighborhood.
Or about themselves.
And there's this one person, they just go by Blue on the site, and they don't reveal their identity at all. And they say that, listen, I am gay and I am living a secret here, but I had to kind of come out and tell someone. And Simon can understand what he's going through, so Simon starts chatting with this person through emails, also using a fake name, calling himself Jacques. And they keep going back and forth, and as they go back and forth, he's trying to figure out who exactly he could possibly be, and this film kind of becomes like him going from like one guy to the next, trying to figure out like, could this guy be Blue? Could this person be Blue? But as it goes along, he kind of slowly starts to fall in love with this guy. Like the two of them actually really get to know each other without actually knowing their names or faces. However, a huge X factor gets thrown in there when one day he is chatting to this guy on the school library, on the school library's computer.
Yes.
Which, by the way, rookie mistake to anyone out there.
Yes.
I can tell anyone out there, do not look up your personal stuff.
No.
On a public computer.
No.
I remember when I was young and dumb and I would do stuff like that. I am the ghost of you from the present telling you, just wait. Wait until you get home, okay? But yeah, he's chatting with him on the school's library's computer, and then this kid who, he's not a bully, he's just a really weird guy. But he's also an asshole. But
he's an annoying asshole, but he doesn't really mean to be.
That's the thing. I think that this is one of the best written asshole characters I've seen in a school movie in a while. Because he's an asshole, but he doesn't want to be an asshole. But he doesn't really realize he's an asshole. So he's kind of like blaming other people, but then he's also kind of like second guessing himself. Like, he goes through a lot in this, and we'll get into more of that later in the spoiler stuff. I almost had to go too deep on this. But yeah, he is that one kid who, he's not a bad guy, he's just really weird. But he's got a crush on one of Simon's friends, and he hops on the computer after Simon, and he discovers his secret, and then he becomes a bad person. Mm-hmm. Like I said, up until this point, he had not been a bad person, just really kind of weird. And then he's like, yeah, listen, so I took photos of all the emails in your file, and, listen, I'm not going to do anything with it, but maybe we could help each other out here. Maybe.
It's like he was trying to make himself sound nice, even though he did, like, an absolutely dickish move.
Like, that's the thing. He said, maybe we could help each other out here. And I was about to say, it's like, that implies going both ways on this. You do nothing for Simon, except for not ruin his life. Yeah, that's not a positive.
No,
that's you, like, restraining your dickishness because you think you'll get something out of it. But again, here's the thing. I can see people like that. Yeah. I can see those people who convince themselves, like, no, I'm listen, this
like
all
makes
sense.
Like the nice guy,
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, the nice guy,
But also, like, that guy who's like, no, listen, man, you doing a good thing for me is a good thing overall, because I'm the protagonist here. Like, he's that person who views themselves as being the protagonist, when it's like, no, we're all the fucking protagonists. We're all living our own individual lives here, you idiot. So yeah, they kind of look at other people as being like, well, you're here to help out my story. It's like, no, not exactly. So yeah, he basically kind of like starts blackmailing Simon into forcing him to try and hook up his friend with him.
Yeah, it's Abby, I think her name was.
Abby,
yeah.
But he's also got like another friend who's interested in Abby, so he's got to like keep him away from Abby. Mm-hmm. And then he's got another friend who it's very clear that she's into Simon.
But he's completely oblivious to that.
Yeah, and Simon thinks that she's into this other person. And it's like, it becomes a massive tangled web of lies and teenage drama up until a point. And I gotta say, I think that this film, when we were talking about it afterwards last night, you said that you felt like it was kind of like a CW show almost.
Well, it was basically, it reminded me of all those teen movies that were the big thing back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like the whole,
it's got that vibe to it.
It does.
Which in all fairness, this movie starts off with them saying, we're just me and my friends were just like everyone else. And one of the things they say is we watch bad 90s films. When you said, it feels like one of those 90s films, I was like, maybe that was on purpose.
I don't know. It's maybe it was. But it's there were certain parts that it felt real. But then there were certain parts that it felt comically overly dramatic. So I kind of had mixed feelings about that. I think that's why.
And I think one of the things that you specifically said you had a problem with was the relationships, quadrangle or whatever you want to call this thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, the relationship cube, the hexagonal, the multi-dimensional hexagon of love. Yes. I think that you said that you kind of had a problem with that because you felt like that was a little bit exaggerated.
Yeah. And that was also a really big trope in those teen movies.
Very much so. Yes.
It was basically, hey, let's make a teen movie, but make it about a gay kid or something like that, almost.
I think there's way more to it.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but that was.
But those moments.
Yes, okay, that's what it felt like.
When it got into the love multi-dimensional plane, you felt like it was becoming one of those.
Yeah,
films.
It was.
Okay, that I can understand. And honestly, that was probably my least favorite part of the film because. Yeah. I felt like it was adding in there a big, side plot that this film didn't necessarily need.
Yeah.
So I can understand that point. However, I do think that the idea of kind of putting in here this, ticking time bomb almost of someone outing Simon, I think that's actually a really interesting side of this. And it does put a whole lot more pressure on Simon.
Yeah.
So I did actually think that there was good to that storyline in there. But to me, the thing that really makes all this work is just the personal struggles of Simon.
Yeah.
And also the other thing that makes this entire thing work and was able to make me overlook what could be seen as a very tropish thing, as a very we saw this in all those 90s films things, is that, back in the 90s, those actors weren't exactly great. I think everyone in here is an amazing actor. Even the tiniest, smallest, background character, I think is a great actor, and they're written incredibly well, too.
I guess so, but like some of the background characters I felt like were very one-dimensional. Like, there are the popular girls, and then there was the vice principal who wanted to be hip.
You really did not like the vice principal. And honestly, I wanted to agree with you on the vice principal, because on paper, I looked at that and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of character that we get in all these films. And I wanted to be able to agree with you. Except I think that actor kind of nailed it. Like, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like the actor's fault. It's just like the way they were written, I guess.
And this
like
is
it's basically like, hey, be one of those one-dimensional characters that you always see in those '90s movies.
And this is where our big divide is going to come on this, because I can understand your point on that, but to me, I think that the acting just took it past that, because I was watching, I can't remember the actor's name, but it's Buster Bluth from Arrested Development. I was watching him in that role, and man, I was buying it. I was like, yeah, I could see this being I could see this being one of those vice principals. And the thing is, he's so charismatic in his attempt to be charismatic that I was like, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm okay, yeah, you're the funky fresh principal that wants to be down with all the kids. Maybe I'm just getting older, so that's why I'm relating to this guy more. Because I want to be the funky fresh guy who relates to all the kids.
What's up, fellow kids?
What's up, man, I was that meme even in high school. Even when I was a kid, I was that meme. But man, speaking of how I was in high school, that's one of the reasons why I kind of have to applaud the writing in here, because you look at that guy who was the jerk in here, the guy who was the one who ruined Simon's life.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is a complete asshole. However, there are moments in there where he's trying to fit in, and I just looked at that guy and went, that was me. Like, not the evil blackmailing part.
No.
But, like, when he's at the party and he's, like, trying to strike up a conversation, but it's an awful conversation he's trying to strike up, that's not the way people normally talk. Like, there's a moment in which they're in the car and people are having a conversation, and he's like, hey, guys, what makes you feel nostalgic? It's like, nobody says stuff like that. And I know that because I tried to say shit like that in high school, and it was stupid. I look back at that now, I'm like, why did I try and say shit like that? That was dumb. That's the kind of thing that people say in message boards to strike up conversations, not in real life. And yeah, I was like, I know this guy, because aside from the evil blackmailing shit, I was that guy. Like, watching him at the party, I was like, yeah, that was me. It was those parties, not knowing how to dance and trying way too hard to be liked by people. Yeah, I saw this guy and I was like, yeah, that's the stuff that won me over with these characters, is that I was like, I think the acting's great, and I think that the writing, I mean, I know that you say it's too stereotypical, but I think that it's smarter than being stereotypical to me. But there are moments like the vice principal that I can understand your point on that. But again, I think the acting is fantastic in here, and I have to come back to that again, because even people in here who I always thought weren't really good actors pop up in this film, and they're great in this movie. His dad is played by the military guy from all the Bayformer Transformer films, and he's so good in this. He's amazing in this. He has a moment after Simon comes out in which he is like having his like little breakdown moment with Simon and talking to him, and he's like tearing up at it, and I was like, oh my god, when did you get this good? When did this happen? When did you learn to act so well? And the first kid who Simon thinks might be Blue is played by the guy who plays Kid Flash on the CW Flash show. And I'll admit, I have not seen the CW Flash show in like 2 years. I stopped after season 3. But I thought he was okay on the CW Flash. I think everyone on the CW Flash is just okay. I think they're all right. And I was like, all right, is it the show's fault or is it just these actors' fault? And in all honesty, I always thought that he was the most all right. Like, everybody else on that show always had a moment in which I could look at them and like, okay, that's your great acting moment. The guy who played Kid Flash, I always looked at him as like, yeah, you're always just fine. You're always just okay. He's so good in this. He is amazing in this movie. Like, this guy, man, I literally had to stop and look him up on IMDb before this movie was even over with, because I was just looking at him and was like, okay, you look like that guy and you sound like that guy, but you can't be that guy. You're too good in this movie. No, man, he is a great actor. Like, I think that he left Flash. Again, I haven't watched the show in like 2 years, but I think he left the show to go and try and do movies. Good call, man. Good on you. You're off to a good start. But yeah, and the one who I have to give the most applause to is, of course, the guy who played Simon in here. I am actually jealous of this kid for the future success that he's going to eventually have. Like, have you ever seen an actor and you've just been like, you are going to be huge. Like, you're a great actor. We saw that. You're a really handsome guy, so of course you're going to continue to be handsome. But also, like, his voice. This movie starts off with his narration, like, before you even see him, and I was like, is this going to be one of those movies where it's like him as an adult talking about what it was like being him in high school?
Yeah, because you said he had a very deep voice.
A very, like, mature voice, and I was just like, dude, you're trying to play a teenager here. When you can actually play an adult in a later film, you are going to be able to lean into that smooth adult voice that you have. You're going to be great. You're going to blow up. And yeah, he is so good in this, and he goes through the entire roller coaster of emotions on this thing, and he nails every single step of the way on this. Like, there's moments that he made me laugh, moments that he made me cry. He is great. I said he made me go through all the emotions, and I had to list off emotions so everybody knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, anything else that you want to talk about in this film?
Before we go into like spoiler talk, yeah. I don't think so. I mean, I pretty much like said what I had to say. I mean, I guess I could just like repeat what I've already said and give examples.
Everybody knows, yeah. So okay, what's your final score going to be then?
I think 7.5.
I was going to guess a 7 for you. Okay, so 7.5. I'm going to 9 on this. I really dug the hell out of this movie. I don't know if it's going to be in my top 10 of the year, because this is a really damn good year for films. I came to that realization recently when I realized, oh my god, Incredibles 2 came out this year, and I forgot that because there's so many other good movies. The movie we were all asking Pixar to make for over a decade finally came out, and just like, whatever, just pass that aside. I got all these other amazing films over here. Yeah, I'm giving this a 9. It really blew me away. But okay, let's go ahead and get into spoiler stuff on here. Man, I did not talk about Jennifer Garner at all in the regular part. Okay, before we get into spoilers, Jennifer Garner is great in here too. I wish she had more. I really wish that the parents had been in this more. Not because I feel like they need to be a bigger part of the story, but because they're just really good in this movie. But Jennifer Garner is great, and I mentioned how the dad has a moment in which he's talking to his son, and it was like, oh my god, he's so good in this moment. He's getting me really like choked up. Jennifer Garner has the MVP monologue.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Like, if she was like nominated for like best supporting actress, like that would be the moment.
That would be the scene that they show. Yes, that absolutely would be. Man, that moment was so well written, and it was like, man, if you are a gay kid and you're feeling down and you're feeling out, that's the scene you just need to watch. Like, just get the audio from that scene, just put it on your phone whenever you just need to pick me up. Like, that is the moment. Yeah, I think that scene is great. Also, speaking of getting nominated for Oscars, I really think the guy who played Simon needs it. I think that he deserves that nomination. But let's go ahead and get into spoiler stuff. Basically, the jerk kid.
Like, his name is Martin.
Thank you. Martin, because he does not understand how to communicate with people. Not because there's like anything, not because he has like Asperger's or anything.
He's just like very awkward.
He's just awkward, yeah. He just doesn't.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly like trying to like get Simon to help him out, and Simon's just like, I'm tired of always like taking care of you. Just do what you need to do, and just like go do it yourself.
Yeah, there's one moment in here where they're at a Waffle House, which, man, you want to talk about how this film was relatable? Me and my friends always used to hang out at Waffle House. Like, that is the embodiment of being in high school and college and just being in a small town. You hang out at Waffle House. So yeah, this movie knew how to write these characters. But there is one moment that I do have to nitpick in here, because I talk about how I felt like these characters were not just cartoons as opposed to you, and I thought they were actually kind of realistic. There is one moment here in which, like, he stands up and he is like, no, I'm going to force you to, like, say a nice thing about yourself. And I was like, and it actually got her to start liking him a little bit, like as a friend, not romantically. And I was just like, that would not have worked. That is the one moment where I can point at this film and go, that's not how this would have gone down. They would have gotten up and left you at the fucking Waffle House to pay their check. Yeah, like, I can guarantee you that's what would have happened. So that scene was so, man. But after that, he then decides, all right, I'm going to do another big flashy thing. So he goes up and he actually, like, stops.
He interrupts the national anthem during, like, a football game.
Yeah. And he rips the microphone out of the lady who's singing its hands. to do this big thing. And man, I remember when I saw him running up there to the microphone, I just went, oh no, because you knew this was going to be so awkward that I wanted nothing. Like, I couldn't watch the scene. Like, I was like, no, I want no part of this. But yeah, she says, listen, I just kind of like you as a friend. I'm sorry. Like, oh, well, okay then. All right. Sorry, everybody. And he's just like, don't worry, it'll blow over soon enough. And then it's turned into a meme that just goes around the entire planet.
Well, of course it's gonna be a meme. Like, no.
Yeah, it's like, man, like, he's scrolling through Tumblr, and it is just nothing but just like...
Well, it's not the Tumblr, it's that special website for that.
It basically had a Tumblr layout.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was basically the equivalent of Tumblr at that moment. Except that there's probably still porn on there. So he's scrolling through this, and it's just one meme after another. And yeah, he then leaks Simon's secret to try and get the heat off of him.
I guess that's kind of what he did, but at the same time, I kind of felt like he was just, like, mad at Simon.
Oh, there's part of that, too. Yeah, he's a complete dick. He's an absolute... I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been a dick if he leaked it just to get the heat off him. But no, he also just does it for, like, revenge as part of it.
Even though Simon had nothing to do with it, he just felt like that. Like,
because he's a guy who does not understand, like, normal human interactions. He doesn't understand how the world works, which... Again, this guy, before he even goes out on a date with someone, runs up there to, like, make the big proposal with, like, doves raised. Like, dude, you're a guy who's watched too many movies and not talked to enough real people. And we all know some people like that. But yeah, so he leaks Simon's secret. And, man, the scene where, like, everybody is, like, calling up Simon and telling him about this. And the scene where, like, the little sister runs in and she's, like... The sister is trying to, like, be supportive of him, but you can tell she's freaking out because her whole, like, world is collapsing in the moment. It's like, man, damn, this movie is getting really emotional. And then, like, the moment where and this happens on Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so he has to, like, tell his parents about this on Christmas before, like, total strangers tell him about this. And it basically ruins their entire Christmas.
It's like his parents don't know about, like, the little blog site because it's basically, like, for kids, for teens and stuff. So.
However, it's spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, and he's like, I might as well tell them myself before they find out.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, their Christmas, like... You can tell the dad is, like, very awkwardly trying to make jokes. Because the dad, throughout this whole thing, makes jokes that, they're very straight jokes.
Yes.
They're very things like, oh, did you get a girl pregnant? Like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to still make jokes of, like, well, which one of your ex-girlfriends is the one that turned you, huh? What was that? And, like, yeah, man, you can tell he's not saying that to be mean. He's saying that because he's trying to, like, smooth out the situation, but he doesn't know any better. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a very uncomfortable moment, but
it feels very real. It's like, I do...
As someone who has had many uncomfortable Christmases, yeah, man, it was a real ass moment.
Yeah, it's like, when this movie is real, I enjoy it, but when it gets cartoony, it's like...
and I can understand that. I'm not going to come in here and say, well, there's no cartoonish moments. I just thought the cartoonish moments worked, but I can understand they're two different feelings, and you kind of felt like one feeling worked way better. But yeah, and then after that, I think this movie is just full of tons of great conversations. Like, there's only one other gay kid or one other out gay kid in the entire school, and they never really have any interactions until, like, after he comes out. And it is actually, like, a really good conversation between the two of them. And the conversation that he has with his dad, that he has with his mom, they're really good conversations. And then, like, the interactions that he has with his friends, because he kind of fucked over his friends for all this.
Yeah, I mean, he's been like hiding not only just hiding the truth, but like lying to them, and it's like,
and manipulating them. He has been like he knows that, like, he's got two friends who want to hook up, and he's being forced to keep them apart so he can pawn one of them off on this creepy guy in order to keep his entire world from collapsing. And yeah, they're rightfully mad at him about that, but after they start seeing the shit that he's getting at school for this, they kind of start to warm up to, like, oh yeah, okay, we see how this kind of was, we kind of see how your back was against the wall on this one. But yeah, I think that the end of this also has a great moment where he's on the Ferris wheel, because that was like the opening, the little opening post that Lou
it's
made.
Like my world is, I feel like my life is like on a Ferris wheel. One moment I'm up, and the next I'm rock bottom, and that's...
Yeah, so the school fair is there, so he goes to the Ferris wheel, and he takes all the tokens that his friends can give him to buy like an entire night of rides up there.
Yeah, and he just like waits on the Ferris wheel until like whoever Blue is shows up.
And you want to talk about uncomfortable moments. Like just like it just keeps going, and like the entire town is there just, yeah, go Simon, go! Couple like turns go by. Yeah, go, you got this, Simon. Another more turns. Yeah, hang in there, buddy. It's okay. You're just hang in there. It's gonna be okay.
I kind of feel bad for Simon. It's like
kind of.
It's like no, I did feel bad for him because like not only did like he was on there forever, but it's like what if he needed to pee or like get a snack or something?
Yeah. That's he bought a long ass amount of rides on that thing. Yeah, he could probably identify everyone's house by the time he got up there for the like 30th turn. But then at the end of this, I like that they gave Martin the tiniest bit of redemption.
I guess so, but for me it was just too little, too late.
Oh, well, here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why I like this film. I don't think it asks you to like Martin. I think it asks you to view Martin as being someone with multiple sides to himself, which to me he is the villain of it. Well, I guess society is the villain of this film. But he is, if there is a one singular person who you would say is the villain of this film, aside from the two nameless bullies in here, it would be Martin. But to me, the best villains are the ones where, like, they're kind of complex. And I think that this film comes in here and it doesn't ask you to forgive Martin. It doesn't ask you to look at him as like, no, it's okay. He actually did a good thing. He did a good thing at the end, everyone. So he's redeemed. I don't think it asks you to do that. I think it asks you to go, listen, man, kids are screwed up. And Martin is very screwed up. And he's screwed up in very bad ways. But most people out there are not all one thing. So he is somebody, I think that he is a very interesting character in here. Because while he is a bad person, he realizes he's a bad person and he doesn't want to be a bad person and he tries to make up for it in his really awkward Martin way. And that's the best you're going to get out of this guy.
It's like the "you tried" sticker.
Yes. This movie does not ask you to redeem Martin. It asks you to just give him like the, you're not as dickish as you could have been
not
award.
As big of a villain as you could have been.
Yeah. Like, that's what I think it tries to do. And to me, those are the characters who are far more interesting than, like, say, the bullies who pop up in here.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but it's like the fact that we had to, like, stick with him, like, throughout the entire movie.
He's
like,
not a good character.
No, I don't like Martin at all. Fuck you, Martin.
There's a difference.
Sorry.
I've said this many times. There's a big difference between a well-written character and, there's a big difference between a good character and a character you want to hang around with.
Like, a character that's well-written and a character that's well-liked.
Yes, very much so. And that's kind of what Martin is in here. But it's like, I can respect when a film is able to do that. Mm-hmm. But then at the end of this, it turns out that Kid Flash, the guy who he thought was Blue the first time until he saw him making out with a girl, he comes up at the end and he's like, I know you're not Blue. He's like, yeah, I actually kind of am. And you just kind of found me at a moment when I was confused. And like
I was drunk and I didn't know what was going on.
I panicked. Like, you can tell that, like, he was the first guy that Simon thought might be Blue. And you can also kind of tell from their interactions, Blue also kind of thinks that Jacques is Simon. Like, you can also kind of tell that he guesses that. Like, he's actually, like, hanging out with him a lot at this party. And you can kind of tell at the end of all this, like, the reason why he made out with the girl then was because he was drunk and he freaked out. And he was like, I can't tell Simon this. I can't. And he just decided to, like, just make out with the girl just to try and, like, end it there. And yeah, again, that's one of the things I think is the big success of this film. It shows, like, man, yeah, people are going to have complex emotions. Mm-hmm. People are going to freak out. Like, everything is not going to go as planned.
Like, honestly, like, when they actually, like, kissed on the Ferris wheel, I thought everyone was gonna do, like, the slow clap like they always do in those 90s movies.
That's an 80s movie.
80s, 90s sort of thing, you know what I mean.
The 90s was really, like, 80s part 2. But yeah, so I'm kind of glad they did not do that. In fact, I think the end of this film is great when they're all getting in the car again, and now Blue is there in the car.
Yeah, and it's like if this was like your typical '90s teen movie, it would have ended like with them on top of the Ferris wheel. But like the fact that that you have like an epilogue almost,
yeah,
it's like, oh, that's nice. Everything is good. Like
there is a new norm now.
Yes.
Like, because that was the thing is that Simon said that his fear was that if he only had a few months left, and if he came out now, it would basically change everything. And at the end of this, he's still loading up all of his friends in the car to go to school, except now Blue is there. And you know what? This is your new normal now, and it's totally all right.
And it's like, he admits, like, in the beginning, when he does, like, his monologue, like, everything is perfect. I am happy. I don't want things to change because I'm gay. That's basically it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing about this film that I really should have gotten to before we got to the spoiler section. I think this film does an amazing job of capturing, like, all the different possible emotions someone could go through for this. Like, granted, I'm not gay, so I don't know what, like, it's like to come out. But this film, like, captures every possible thought that someone could have. And also, it kind of creates a very, it takes Simon and it really makes him kind of unique even in the gay community. Because, like, there is a moment in which, like, he talks about, yeah, I'll be totally gay when I get to college. It has, like, a dream sequence of, like, a musical number and rainbows. And he's like, okay, maybe not that. And then at the
maybe not that gay, basically.
Yeah, and then when he, after he comes out, he literally has to Google how to dress like a gay person. Because, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And it's
like apparently, like, there's, like, the stereotype that, like, gay men are, like, very fashionable.
That's the thing, is that he doesn't even feel like he fits in with that community because, like, he's Simon. He likes to wear hoodies and blue jean jackets and, yeah, it's like he doesn't even feel like he is the version of gay people that he constantly sees in media. And I think that this film, that's another, like, complex feeling that a lot of people will probably come out, probably have to go through. But this film, like, the capturing the whole, like, I don't want things to change. Like, if I can just hold out, like, the compromise section where it's like, well, if I say it at this moment, then it'll be okay. But if I say it now, then it won't be okay. Like, the fear that Blue goes through where he just starts making out with a random girl in order to, like, just try and, like, brush this all away.
And, like, that leads, like, to another thing, like, Blue is, like, really happy just having a personal conversation with Jacques. And so, like, that's another reason why Simon wanted to, like, prevent Martin from blackmailing him, because he did not want to, like, destroy, like, Blue's personal space.
Yes, exactly. Yes, he wanted Blue to be able to have, like, that safe zone where he could actually talk about this stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But also, like, he flat out says, I fell in love with Blue. And if this comes out, Blue's not going to want to talk to me again when, like, that space that we had to go and actually talk to each other is now gone. It's over with. And yeah, I thought that basically, I think this film handles pretty much every single thing that goes for it great. I can understand your complaints with it, but again, your complaints are not with, like, the big things that were funny. No. Yeah. Your complaints are when it tries to get too funny and goofy. Which is understandable because it is like two different tones to this film. I mean,
I'm not saying it shouldn't be funny at all. Like, there definitely should be some comedy.
But you feel like the comedy goes, like, I do think, again, I like the vice principal in here, but I can understand your points about the vice principal, and those vice principal kind of elements are all throughout this film, not just with the vice principal. Also, we didn't even talk about, but I really like the lady who ran the theater department.
Oh, yeah.
She's great. Like, just this feeling that she had of just, I hate all you kids, but I'm still gonna stick up for you. Like, I like complex characters. And I think that even though she doesn't have a lot of scenes, I think she's kind of a complex character because she hates these kids. She hates having to be the teacher to them, but she's gonna stick up for them. I like that. I think that's great. But yeah, man, I really enjoy this. This year's Quest for the Best is off to a good start, because normally for Quest for the Best, we gotta do a bunch of artsy films. I was looking up the films that we missed this year that everyone's calling some of the best. This was a good year for fun movies. For not, like, the big, like, French, like, yes, live. Like. Alright, that is it for the first episode of the Quest for the Best. Make sure that you come back tomorrow for the first episode of the polar opposite of this, the Gauntlet of Garbage, which, let's be real, that's the one you're all looking forward to. I know how this channel works. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. You can always follow us on Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, at Professor Thorgy. And remember, you can now follow us on Patreon, at Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.